Coach JT here with Inside the Dugout with Pack. Tonight is our Q&A session. So after we had our live session on Monday, we had some questions come in from coaches, and our moderator here, Campbell, as always, is going to bring up those questions, and then the three of us will discuss and hopefully answer those questions for you. And then if you're on tonight and you have questions for us, or if you're watching the replay, just shoot those questions over to Campbell, and she'll make sure that we answer all your questions, because we really want to bring something extra to this community. We don't want to just get up here preaching and talking. We want to answer questions that you have right now with your team or your child or whatever it is, whatever thing you need help with right now in baseball or softball. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Campbell. Well, Larry and I think hopefully we can not get stumped on the first Q&A call.
I'm sure you guys will do fine. Okay, so a lot of these questions are very much like beginning of the season, just starting out. So let's start off with, what do I do if my team hits well in practice but looks totally different during the game?
Ooh, that's a good one. You want to start with that one there?
Yeah, they hit well in practice, but come game time, they struggle. I guess what you have to do is look at what their approach is at the plate during a game. You know, you talk about that during practice. You know, when it's taking BP, it's always a fastball straight down the middle, and you just do what you need to do. So you make the practice into a game situation. So like when we do our BP for our team, you know, we go opposite field for the first 10 swings, and then we go middle, and we pull. We make it more like a game situation than anything. So when it does come to game, it's muscle memory. You're already doing what you're doing in practice into the game. And the more you do it in practice, the easier it's going to be in the game. So, you know, you practice like you play. And so that's what I would do in my approaches. I mean, what are they doing? Talk to them, what they looking for. I heard a great example from the other day about Pete Rose. He said, if you think of a fastball at every pitch, you would adjust to every other pitch that much easier. And I kind of looked at them like, okay, so you're at the bat and you're thinking fastball every single pitch, and you're thinking 96 miles an hour every single time. And then all of a sudden, here comes a curveball or a changeup. You could adjust to that pitch a lot easier because it's coming slower than you could on a fastball. So that's where I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, what I would tell my kids is, you know, you practice how you play. We look at our practice and how we're practicing and what's going good at practice, and take it from practice to the game.
I like that. I'm going to add on to something you said very early on, and that is the approach. A lot of times when I see this where the kids are doing well in practice and not so well in the game, what I see is it's a mental thing. Most of the time, it's a mental thing where their approach, if I go out to the game and I watch them, what I'll see is they're not very confident. So they're afraid maybe this pitcher's throwing faster or whatever it is. And that's a mental thing, because it's not that they're throwing faster or that they can't hit it. It's that for some reason they think that they can't. And some parents will tell me, well, there's more pressure in the game. Actually, no, we practice hard. We put all the pressure on ourselves in practice so that when we go to the game, it's easy. The game it's called a game. That's the fun part, right? So you do all the work, all the hard work in practice. And then sometimes when that doesn't translate to the batter's box, it's because of a confidence or something that's going on in their head.
100% agree. Very good.
What, you know, one of the exercises that you guys are going to laugh at me, but with girls, I found in coaching girls for a long time, they do have a lot of self-esteem issues and self-confidence issues. I don't know the boys, and you could speak to this some more in a second here, Larry, but the boys seem to have a lot more of that naturally. And then the girls are sort of real self-conscious, they think everybody's watching them and all those things. So I do this drill that is hilarious. So in the facility, we have mirrors all over the place, right? So when we're doing a regular practice and I notice that the girls are having a hard time in the game like that, what I'll do is I'll do what I call the mirror exercise. So every single time you pass a mirror, you look at it and you give it a confident face, or you squat and you look at it and you just be like, hey, you know? And every time you pass a mirror, you do that. And what happens is you start to have this swagger about you. And then you'll see the girls when they get up in the box, they're smiling at the pitcher. Now the pitcher's like, wait, why are you smiling at me now? And you'll start to see they'll do better in the game.
100%, man. I go back a couple years back with the old travel team I had, the Bears. I mean, for about 2 months, nobody could beat us. I mean, you just saw those boys walk into a stadium or a field or a complex, and man, their heads are up high. And they had the swagger, like you said, the swagger, and no one's going to beat us. No pitcher's going to beat us. Nothing's going to happen in this game that is going to cost us a game. And that is the best feeling as a coach, as a player, to watch those kids walk in. And like you said, the mirror, and let's go. Let's go to war. Let's battle. And I loved it. And we traveled to New York, Boston, Florida, and they brought the same swagger from Colorado over there. And no one knew us from Adam. And they did a very good job. And they played some tough teams from Puerto Rico and from the East Coast, and we battled with them. And you saw you're facing 94, 95 miles an hour every game, and they weren't getting beat. But take that same team a year prior, and they were getting beat the whole time because the confidence wasn't there, the practice wasn't there, what they were doing at practice every day compared to games. And the minute they bought into the program and bought into what they were doing was the right thing, man, their whole mindset changed, and I loved it. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you hit on some great points there. Maybe you could share with us how as a new coach do I come in and create that swagger, or is there a way for me to sort of cultivate that practice environment where it sort of stimulates that kind of a mentality?
They gotta trust you. What we're saying is the trust comes from a long ways, from the players, coaches, parents, and like that. So I mean, no one wants to go practice for 2.5 hours or whatever it may be, but they have to trust what you're doing is right. And when they get that going, and then you make practice fun and you do different kind of drills. And I always say you gotta learn how to crawl before you walk. And so we did teamwork. We did soft toss. They learned how to do it the right way. And they started seeing the rewards of their hitting, and their average is going up, and now they get more power, and now they're getting doubles instead of rolling over all the time. And they started seeing the hard work they put in on the practice field go into games, and that was fun. And then the main thing that I did with my team was we're a family, and this is what we're doing with the pack. So we traveled together. Everybody traveled together at the same time. We stayed in the same hotel together. They roomed together. So they weren't away from each other. And I brought kids from DPS, Denver Public School System, and the suburbs, and I brought them in with language barriers and everything, and we brought them all together into one. And at the end of the day, we were a team. We were a family. We ate together. We had parties together. We, even till this day, they still talk to each other. And that's a testament of the players, the families, the coaches, the organization. And then we always say, look at a good organization when kids keep on coming back and playing for your team. That's when you done well, because they're not going over here or going over there. They're staying with Pack Baseball, and that's a family. Or Pack Softball, we're a family. And when you get that power, it's fun. I mean, they can't wait to get to the diamond and play and practice. So
I think you hit something right on the head there, and one of those things is creating that environment of comfort, right? Because those girls or those boys, when they're out there, they're not necessarily nervous because of the other team. They don't care that much about the other team. What they care about is the guys or girls that are in the dugout with them. So when you start to create an environment and practice and do those extra team building things, I know a lot of teams are so busy and so focused on practice, they don't do that extra stuff. But it's those little extra things that create an experience that really creates this mastermind or this bond that's what creates that swagger, because everybody likes going out there with friends that they trust are going to be able to support them and help them, and they're going to be able to support their friends. And that's part of what that swagger is, right? You know, I like to always dress the girls to the nines, even when they're coming up. I like to have them in warm up suits and everything. So when they're coming in, oh, here comes the pack. There's no question that's who's coming in right now. And it starts to not only intimidate the other team, but it really pumps up the girls and gives them, like you said, that swagger.
100%. I cannot wait for you to share your uniform ideas and what these girls are getting when they become part of the pack family, because what you done with those uniforms are amazing. I love them. I mean, you have them all decked out tonight. So hopefully you will share that with the community, because what you've done is awesome. So they're very lucky to have that. I mean, for one, coming to the program, and two, that's the best part. When I was coaching Air Force, when they took me into that back room and said, "Here's your stuff, go pick it out." I had turfs, I had cleats, I had shorts, I had the shirt, I had the warm ups, the bags. I mean, that's what it's all about. It was awesome. I mean, maybe you can get your stuff and it says pack on it or your name, or that's pride, man. I loved it. So yes, that's good stuff.
I love it. So, do you think we answered that question? I know we went off a little bit, but I think everything we talked about is really what's happening on the field. If they don't have that swagger, if they don't have that confidence, if they don't trust their teammates, if they're not comfortable around their teammates, they're not going to perform well. And you could look at the individual and say, okay, he's doing this or she's doing that. But a lot of times, if it's a team thing where the whole team is struggling with hitting, it's exactly what we talked about tonight. Do you think we answered the question okay, Campbell?
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job. The only thing I would add to that is I've noticed, like, with my boys and helping to build an environment where they can share with each other and just be comfortable around each other, um, is I take a couple extra minutes at the beginning of practice just to go around and, like, talk to each guy on my team individually and see how they're doing. And I do that with every team I'm a part of, even the teams that I just, like, keep book for. And I noticed that when you keep up to date and when you know what's happening in a person's life and just like take a couple minutes to be like, hey, how are your classes going? How was that exam you were worried about? It really helps them come together as a team. And I think that just goes along with what both you and Larry were saying.
Oh yeah, you hit the nail on the head for sure.
Yes, you did. Good job.
Okay, so moving on. Here's another interesting question. This one asks, what do I do if my team seems to lose focus late in the game and they fall apart? And if they do lose, it's usually in the last inning or two of the game.
Maybe are you okay if I start with this one, Larry?
You got that one. Go ahead. Hey,
I
run them.
did this. I did this last year. So a competition team called me and said, "Hey, coach, I've this was the exact question they came up with." So I went to their practice and I said, "I'm just going to come and observe, see what's going on." And I look, and the girls, right before practice, are all on their phones. I mean, they're walking up to practice, they're on their phones and they're texting and they're scrolling through TikTok as they're walking up into the dugout. And then they got their phone playing next to them while they're putting their cleats on and all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then they go out, and some of them went out onto the practice field with their phone in their pocket. And I saw a couple of them check it while they were practicing. And I said, okay, I think I have an idea what might be going on here. So I said, everybody go grab your phone and come out here. And I had them all come up and stand in a circle. And I said, look at your phone. Tell me how much your average daily screen time is. And that team, I think the lowest one was 6.5 hours a day on her phone. And the highest one was 9 something. So I said, the issue is in across the span of 7 innings, you're asking somebody who has a attention, who is used to scrolling through how long is a video on TikTok? Like 30 seconds, 10 seconds, something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, like a minute.
Yeah. So she's basically practicing, focusing for 10 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute, whatever it is, for 9 hours a day or 6 hours a day. And then you go out to practice for an hour and a half and you say, Now I want you to practice for an hour. I want you to stay focused for an hour and a half. So I said, first off, you need to recognize that, because if you're not aware that that's what's going on, you're not going to be able to fix that problem, right? So then second, I said, you have to find a way as a coach to keep their attention. There can't be where you send everybody out and you hit infield, outfield, because when you hit to the outfielders, the first baseman's not doing very much. They're thinking about the TikToks they were scrolling on, right? Or the pitcher. What is the pitcher doing? Oh, they're kind of backing up, whatever. When you're doing the whole team like that, it can sort of lose focus. It's hard to keep the whole team focused. I'm not saying don't ever do that. But what I'm saying is, if you got some assistant coaches and things like that, and you break them up into small groups where they're bam, 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 and you got them going, they won't ever lose focus. And if you do that in practice for the entire hour and a half, and then you have maybe water breaks or something that breaks up the monotony, and then you come together and you talk while they're drinking their water. Hey, how do you think that went? What did this do? What did that do? If they know you're going to ask them questions, they automatically start focusing better. And then you'll find if you start running your practices like that, then you're not going to have those late inning mishaps, because now they're able to stay focused for that game. And then when you go onto the field, you'll want to also do things that keep their attention. So you always huddle when they come off the field. You always are in the dugout, boost them. I actually have an assistant coach who is my bench coach, and her entire job is to be the cheerleader on bench, make sure everybody's happy and excited and in the game.
All said. I could go so many different ways on this thing, because I've had this happen. And I'm with boys and you're with girls, and I mean we both have 2 daughters. We know how it all is, But I mean, prime example, fall ball's tough because it ain't summer, it's fall. They have school. These kids they're kids. They're still in school. You have homecoming. You have prom. You have dances. You have football games, and you try to have these kids play on a weekend and try to keep their focus is very, very tough. And I remember we were playing in up north by Fort Collins, and it was homecoming weekend. Homecoming was coming up, and I was like, "This is gonna be a rough weekend, guys. I know it is." Told the coaching staff to go. They have tuxedos, limousines, dates, and all this stuff happening. And I'm watching it, and it drove me nuts. Guy, I saw it coming, and I'm like, here we go. It's going to collapse. And like you said, the mental side, trying to get these guys focused on one thing, it was a task. And so, after the game, we had a little talk, and I got them on a line, and we ran. We're like, let's go. And we talked about it, and we said, this is why we're doing this, and you need to be focused. You guys, I have you guys for 2 hours. Here we go. Let's do it. And we got some more laughs. And then you start seeing the cream start rising. And now you have that leaders are stepping up, and now you have your team, and you have your dugout, because now those boys are now watching what's going on. And coach, I know you don't have this much in softball with the girls, but fantasy football. When you said the phones, I mean, I had these boys look at the phone. Like, what are you looking at your phone for? Well, I have this guy playing, coach. I'm like, we're playing baseball here. Put the phones down. So I had some need it. A no policy for phones. They put it away. So you saw the upper guys up there started watching it, patrolling it. And it's tough, because that's a good question, because it's tough to keep their focus. But when you start telling these boys why we lost the game in the 7th inning, why you struck out in the 7th inning or 6th inning, why you made those errors, because your mind was somewhere else. It wasn't focused on ground ball or the 0-2 pitch you need to hit. Something happened that you were getting distracted, and that's exactly what you said about the phones, or you talking in the dugout, and you have that coach that's always encouraging them. 100%, because there could be 11, 12, all the way to 18 under. Even the pros, you have the mental breakdown. The baseball and softball gods will find you, and that ball will come to you, and you make that error, or you come up with bases loaded with 2 outs, and you get that hit, and you strike out looking, because your mind wasn't there. But if you practice the way you play, like we always say, and focused on what you need to do, then it's a lot easier. Give me that 2.5 hours, 3 hours to play baseball or softball, and you'll get your job done. And then you can enjoy the things after that way. So that's a great question. I mean, with softball and baseball, it's the same thing, but it's total different worlds, man. Because like I said, we have fantasy football, we have this, we have that, and we have prom. And I remember yesterday when we did with all that dance stuff, I said it's going to be a rough weekend. I know it is because their mind was not there. Their mind was not there.
I know you touched on a bunch of great points that we could continue to talk about. One of the cool things that I did with my team is I lined them up just on the outside of the dugout, and I said, "Here's the thing, right? This is a line. This is a physical line. There's no wall here. There's no fence here, but this is a physical line. All your boyfriend problems, all your school problems, all your dance problems, all your parent problems, they're here. Go ahead and just act like you're taking a backpack off and leave it here. Pick up your baseball or your softball bag and walk onto the field. And now that's all it is. You are totally 100% focused on this one." And I was going to go into another drill there, but I don't think it quite fits what we're doing here. But when they walk onto the field, just, hey, it's only softball. That's it. No boyfriends, no breakups, no school, no nothing. It's just for this amount of time, it's only softball. And it's your family right here. This pack, this is yours.
You want a good example of what that is?
Yeah.
The field of dreams. When you cross that line, you went from being one of us to being the athlete, 100%. And then when you cross that line back, then he's back to being us again. And you're 100% right there. I mean, I was good at that. I don't know why, but the minute I crossed that line, it was nothing else happened in school or girlfriend like that. It was time to go to work. And then the minute you cross that line back over, then reality hits you back. And like, oh, okay, I got to do that test, or I got to do this or that. So yeah, 100%. You cross that working line, it's time to go. So yeah, that's why I tell any coach, you look at what they're doing in the dugout, what they're talking about, or what they're going to be doing that night or for dinner or whatever, and they're not focusing on what they need to get done within the game. And that's the reason why they're probably having the problem towards the end.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Campbell?
No, I was just listening because I'm one of those people who really, really struggles with getting my guys to focus, especially with like fantasy football going and with tests, exams, all that stuff. But I noticed that like since we're a club team, when the guys come onto the field, if they have homework or whatever, they're not gonna come to practice, which is super unfortunate. And we're trying to work on that this year. And if you both have any ideas on how I can, help guys show up to practice or get guys to show up to practice more, I love to hear that. But the guys who do come to practice, they're choosing to be there. And so they normally, when they're practicing, they kind of leave all those distractions behind because that's 2 hour-and-a-half time periods a week where they get to just hang out with their friends and focus on baseball.
I love it. And I definitely do. And we're going to put you on the spot here in a second, if you can. We're going to have you do a practice huddle speech right here on this call. Is that okay?
Okay.
You look terrified, but you're going to be fine. So here's the first thing. Do you have your club players sign a player contract?
No, we don't.
Okay. So the first thing I would do is draft a player contract, and it says, we are a team. We are a family. Here's what our expectations are. You're going to come to practice. When you're at practice, you're going to be 100% focused on baseball. And I know this is a club, but I am here to help you guys win. And if you're here to win, then that's the group of guys we want. If you can't commit to that, then we don't need you. And it's hard to say that as a coach because you want to help everybody. But the first thing I would do is get a player's contract. The second thing I would do is establish what is the goal of this organization. And we talked about it on a previous call, but if the goal of the organization is to win the club World Series, which you guys can absolutely do, you definitely have the talent to do that. I know it. I've seen the guys. You have the pitching, you have the hitting, you have the talent, you can do it. I would say this is our goal. It's like in the Patriots locker room when they were winning all those Super Bowls. When they came in the first day of practice, they knew that if anything less than winning the Super Bowl was a failure, right? So every practice, every game, every moment they were on that field, sometimes when they're at home or in the study room, in the quarterback's room, whatever, they know they have that in their mind. And so when you do that, you actually shift it, right? If you've got players that are complaining about practicing, or if they're complaining about how you want them to focus and practice, it's because they haven't bought in. They don't buy the idea that they could actually achieve this goal that you've set for the team. So number one, player contract. Number two, they got to buy into that end goal. Okay, they got to fully buy into that goal. And then now what I want you to do is use what you know and what I just talked about and what I talked about with you the other day about that end goal. And I want you to give us your heart and soul in that pre-practice huddle, the one that gets Larry and I to buy into your vision.
Okay, this is a pressure.
Right? No pressure. No pressure.
Oh, this is a lot of pressure.
Just go from your heart. It'll always be good.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. Welcome back to the 25-26 DU season. I'm so excited to see you all here today, and I'm so excited that you all chose to come out and try out with us. This season, I'm really looking forward to um, playing CC because I know last year we left our heart and souls on that field when we played them, and I'm really looking forward to going back there and playing them. I'm looking forward to going back and seeing CSU Pueblo. I'm looking forward to going to see Western and seeing Mines, South Dakota School of Mines again, because I know that the last time we all played them, you guys left everything out on the field, and it really showed in the way you played. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season because, as you all know, this is my last season, and I want to leave everything out here on the field. I want to make it to Utah, and the only way I'm making it to Utah is if you guys are there to help me. And I need all of you right now to promise me that you can sit here for an hour and a half on Monday and Wednesday, and you can give me your all in practice. That way, when we go out there on Saturdays and Sundays, I know that you guys are going to go out there, you're going to do your best, you're going to give it all, you're going to leave your heart and soul on that field, and we're going to make it to Utah, and we're going to win that championship. And I'm going to get out of here with a bang. And I'm going to leave this organization and know that you guys know what you're doing, and I was able to help you in every way possible. And I'm so looking forward to this season.
Nice. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Good job. That's good, man. He hit the heartstrings, man. Good job.
Yeah.
Loved it.